Hello everyone, welcome to another math online lesson. We have our lesson under quadratic equations, completing the square, and the quadratic formula. Now sometimes in a given quadratic equations, it cannot be solved using the factoring method or the extracting the root. So we have our last two methods that can solve quadratic equations. So first, I'll be solving two examples using two methods, the completing the square and the quadratic formula. So we have here x squared plus 6x plus 4 equals to 0. Let's try to solve this one using the completing the square. Because this one, we cannot solve this one using the factoring method because there's no factors of 4 that we could come up with as 6. So the only way to solve this one is using the completing the square or the quadratic formula. So how does the completing the square works? So first, we need to separate the constant from the variables, meaning we need to transfer our constant 4 to the other side of the equation. Leaving a blank here, our 4 becomes negative 4 on this side. Okay, why do we have a blank here? Because from the word completing the square, we need to find a way to make this side of the equation a perfect square. So how do we do that? Next step is we need to divide the equation or the entire equations by the numerical coefficient of your first term. Meaning, we need to divide this by 1, and since the divisor is 1, so any number divided by 1 would still be the same number. So I'll just copy this one here, x squared plus 6x. Again, this will be blank. Negative 4 divided by 1 will still be equal to negative 4. Next, find the half of your middle term and add it here as the third term on your left side, then square it. So half of 6 is 3. So you need to add that one and then square it. Then whatever you do here should be done on the other side also, meaning you also need to add there. Simplifying this one, so as you notice here on the left side, you already have a perfect square trinomial. Okay? So we need to simplify this one. We can just rewrite this perfect square as get the base of your first term, which is x, get the base of your last term, which is 3, and since your middle term is addition, just write the sign of your middle term, then square. Okay? This one is equal to that one. This is a perfect square trinomial. Equals negative 4 plus 3 raised to the power 2, which is 9. Negative 4 plus 9 is equal to positive 5. And from here, we can use the extracting the root or squaring each side here. This can eliminate the exponent and the radical sign, leaving us with x plus 3. Equals to the square root of 5. Now to solve for x, we need to transpose this one to the other side or use the additive inverse. So transposing that one here, you have your x equals, your positive 3 becomes negative 3. Since 5 is already a prime number, So we'll just copy it here. Plus and minus the square root of 5. So meaning you have two values of x now, or roots. You have the first one, x is equal to the negative 3 plus the square root of 5. You have the second one as x equals negative 3 minus square root of 5. Now you have your two roots for the equation x squared plus 6x plus 4. Try to remember this result as we solve the same equation using the quadratic formula. Moving on to our next example. So I have here x squared plus 6x minus 5 equals to 0. Again, this one cannot be solved using the factoring technique because you have a negative 5 here and there's no way we could come up with a positive 6. So the only way to solve this one is using the completing the square and the quadratic formula. So first step, separate the variables and the constant, leaving us with a blank here. Your negative 5 becomes positive 5 on the other side. Next, divide everything by the numerical coefficient of your first term, which is 1. So any number divided by 1 will still be the same number. Five divided by 1 is 5. Next step is get the half of your middle term. Half of 6 is again 3. Add it as the third term, then square it. Whatever you do here should be done also here. Now you have now a perfect square trinomial on this side. Now to simplify that one, all you need to do is to get the base of the first term, which is x. Get the base of your last term, which is 3. Since this is addition, just write the plus sign and then square. Equals, on this side you have 5 plus 3 raised to the power 2, which is 9. 5 plus 9, you have 14. Okay, then the square root property. Extract the root on both sides. This will eliminate the exponent and the radical sign, leaving us with x plus 3 equals the square root of 14. To solve for x, simply use the additive inverse or transpose that one to the other side. Again, that becomes negative 3 plus and minus the square root of 14. So this will be our roots. We can separate this one as x is equal to negative 3 plus the square root of 14 and x is equal to negative 3 minus the square root of 14. Again, please try to remember the result on this uh, equation x squared plus 6x minus 5 as we use the completing the square. Let's see if we could come up with the same result using the quadratic formula. Now let's try to solve the first example using the quadratic formula. X squared plus 6x plus 4 equals to 0. Now for the quadratic formula, all you need to remember is this one. So you have your x is equal to minus b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now in order for us to solve this one, we need the value of a B, and C in our quadratic equation. So we have the value of A is equal to 1, B is equal to positive 6, and C is equal to positive 4. Now let's try to substitute the value of A, B, and C to our quadratic formula. So common mistake of everyone, they tend to eliminate this negative sign in the formula. This negative sign in the formula is fixed. Once you have a negative value of B, so you have a 2 negative value here. So please do not try to eliminate this one. So when you write it, write the negative sign first. Then use the open and close parentheses for the value of B. Plus and minus the square root of B squared. So you have 6 squared minus 4 times your A, which is equal to 1, and then times your C, which is equal to 4, divided by 2 times A, which is equal to 1. Simplify. So you have negative 6 plus and minus the square root of 6 raised to the power 2 is 6 times 6, which is equal to 36. Negative 4 times 1 is 4 times 4, you have negative 16. Divided by 2 times 1 is 2. Simplifying this one further, you have negative 6 plus and minus the square root of 36 minus 16 is 20, divided by 2. Now 20 can be factored out as 4 times 5, wherein one of the factor is a perfect square. So I have it here, negative 6. So 20, again, we can factor that one as 4 times 5. So I have, again, negative 6 plus and minus. The square root of 4 is 2. And since 5 is a prime number, so it will go back inside the radical sign over 2. Now you can just separate the two terms here so that it will be easy for you to simplify. Okay, so you can rewrite this one as negative 6 divided by 2. Okay, we're separating this term and then plus and minus 2 again divided by this 2. Now we have the two terms shown. This one can be simplified as negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Bring down the plus and minus. 2 divided by 2 is 1 square root of 5. And 1 here becomes an imaginary number. Okay, so this is the value of x. You can just separate this one. I think we have the same value on our first solution using the completing the square. Next equation. The second equation is x squared plus 6x minus 5. Let's see if we could still come up with the same result as the completing the square. Again, we use the quadratic formula in solving this one. We need to find the value of a first, which is 1. You have your b equals to positive 6, and your c is equal to negative 5. Substituting this one to our equation, so I have, again, please write the negative first, then separate it with a close and open parenthesis for the value of b, which is 6 plus and minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times your a is equal to 1, and your b now is equal to negative 5, divided by 2 times your a equals to 1. Simplify. Negative times 6 is negative 6, plus and minus. The square root of 6 times 6 is 36. Then we have here negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Sorry, positive 20 rather. Because negative times negative is positive. Over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, let's try to simplify that one. Negative 6 plus and minus the square root of 36 plus 20 is 56. Divided by 2. 56 can be factored out as 4 times 14. So we can rewrite that one as negative 6 plus and minus the square root of 4 times 14 will still be equal to 56. Tama? Divided by 2. Okay, so negative 6 plus and minus the square root of 4 is 2, then 14 comes back here, divided by 2. Now we can separate the two terms so that you'll be able to see uh, the proper answer, so that you will not be confused. So negative 6 over 2 plus and minus 2 over 2, or means 2 square root of 14 over 2. So you have here negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, plus and minus 2 divided by 2 is 1 square root of 14, and that 1 becomes an imaginary number. So you have your two roots here, same as the completing the square. So I hope you learned something today on completing the square and the quadratic formula. See you in my next online lesson.